Hello there. I was on YouTube and I saw Christian Young's portrait on Paint. It sounded like a cool idea and I thought yeah, I can do that. First problem, the first version of Microsoft Paint I've ever used was on Windows XP when I was 3 years old. Fast forward to today, I'm a nerd and I'm not even on Windows. I found JS Paint, a web application. It was nice, a bit laggy. Yeah, this is not working. No, I'm not vibing with this at all. New plan. I downloaded a version of MS Paint from the Internet Archive. I still have some problems, like having no layers at all. It's just a single layer, and that all the colors are there is no transparency at all. There's either 100% one color or 100% the other. If I can't even mix colors, I'm already bad at physical media. With oil paint, at least you can layer one color on top of the other. My main job with this, being a portrait study, was to at least get all the values where they should be. After getting the values somewhat accurate, I proceeded to add some color. I immediately regretted that because I should have, precisely because there's no mixing of colors, some of the clear or bright pixels, in some areas I miscalculated how bright they were and I had to do some pixel artsy touch-ups. After a while, the airbrush didn't seem as great as I thought. Even if it helps me keep the sketch visible, the output is very noisy, so I try to use far more the actual brush or pencil even. The pencil was far more controllable and predictable. Also, I think this has been one of my longer sessions of drawing. I ended up very, very tired. The proportions were constantly adjusted. Sometimes I thought her jaw looked too small. Other times I gave her too much of a forehead. Overall, slowly but surely adding detail where there was needed. After 3 hours I thought, yeah, this looks kind of decent, and then continued 4 hours after that, just adding more and more detail. It was really slow to work on paint. Really, really slow. The most bothersome thing of all this was the color palette. I had to constantly just go and click on the colors tab, open, then add to custom colors because the basic color palette was really vibrant and wasn't what I was searching for. I think that after 5 hours or so, I began memorizing what hues and values were some of my main colors. Each time I had to select a color, it didn't even give me a reference from where was the current color I had selected. I had to actually either click where I needed the color to be or input that. So it was far easier to just slowly modify the hues. Because of my initial really light values on her face, I had to slowly bring all of those colors down. However, I got really confused if I changed things by themselves without trying to at least make them coherent with the rest of her face. I did make myself so much more trouble just trying to keep it incremental. Also, the portrait looked really cool on Pinterest. After searching for a higher definition of the image I had saved, seems like she's an artist. She's a musician. It's always the shine on their eyes that brings portraits alive. I don't really do much of any portraits. I find them just painfully finicky. I have to just go fix something, come back and fix another thing, and it's very painterly, traditional, very, very finicky. Sometimes you think, Yeah, I kind of finished that part, and turns out you kind of messed the proportions and have to go back and try again with something slightly different. But because we all have such an eye to notice the smallest details, especially on faces, the moment you raise an eyebrow less than a millimeter, you know, oh, something happens. I noticed after a while that one of her eyes was slightly more open, and that didn't seem like a expression that was on the picture originally. Drawing with reference always has the advantage that you can just try and get closer to the original picture, and you know that it's going to look better. If you're drawing without a reference, whatever mental model you have of what you're drawing, it's the only thing keeping you to reality. If something's wrong, it's gonna look weird because all the tools were a bit harder to use. Everything was a bit slower. Everything was a bit harder to access. I just couldn't mirror every time, and just moving the picture was a bit more annoying than usual. Kind of turns very nice for a time lapse. After finishing her face, I was really tired, and I thought, yeah, I'm just going to add some small details to her clothing, and that's it. Who needs the texture? I don't. Even then, I just continued. I entered in a trance, and I continued drawing, and continued drawing, and continued drawing. All of this was done in a day. I shouldn't have, because after enough hours, my hand hurt. My head hurt. Everything hurt. I got finally the feeling that my parents were warning me about spending too much time on the computer. Do something. I got up. I had dinner, some cereal, and then came back and even continued then. After some hours, I decided to just remove the reference entirely. And also I was getting a bit icky about not looking like the original because I changed slightly the lighting. Originally, it was a bit more yellow, but it doesn't matter. It's a beautifully magic moment when you step out from an artwork, you look at it again, and it still looks fucking awesome. I nailed it. Well, see you all later.